Roger again, nice to be back with you. You probably, most of you know I've been a little under the weather to say the least, fought a little cancer, lost a little weight. But we're back in business. I'm going to reclaim my landscape, and I found a good teaching, found a good chance to do some teaching that wouldn't ordinarily prevail on this landscape, because you can look around and see it's been let go, and it breaks my heart for my landscape to look like this, but this is what happened. I've been sick and couldn't get a lot done. It hasn't been touched this year, but now we're going to go down here, Karen. Here's an area we're going to take care of right now, and I'm going to show you about wheat, how to take care of what you never on this property. You'll never see this. This just doesn't happen. It's tearing me apart that this has happened. But if you can't get the things, you can't. And I had guys that would come into a situation like this, and I mean, they wouldn't take the sod lifter off the truck, even though they knew it existed. They would do this. They would start this stuff here, and they were going to pull weeds like a gardener. That's not how you control weeds. In a situation like this, the dirt is good. You're not going to worry about breaking them off and getting them by the roots and all the stuff Grandma told you and all that crap. That just doesn't exist. First of all, if you have good soil, you're not going to care about any of that. What I want to show you is this is called the sod lifter. And what it allows you to do is get down here on your knees with your knee pads, of course. And it's a tool designed to work down low with to give you good leverage. And watch how fast we're going to clean this area up. And I've seen guys literally take a half hour, 45 minutes screwing around on stuff like this. And you just don't do that. That's all ready to go. That aside, and all you do now, you don't even have to be careful about getting the stuff out. You do want the dirt. Look at that dirt. You do want to get your aggregates back down to where they were, and it's been a while. And you see how this is going. And then you just sort of hand grade it off as you go and pull the vegetation that's on top out. That stuff that you just unseeded, that ain't coming back. That grandma stuff of pulling stuff by the roots is BS. You don't have to do that. All I wanted to show you is when you're in a situation like this and you have good soil, this is how you can address a large amount of weeds. I'm going to go around here like nothing. It's worse than it's ever been. It's not going to be like if that were hard pan dirt and you were down there trying to pull the weeds. You're going to lose that every time. So get your dirt good. Then even if you get behind, even if you get buried, you can come back. I'm here to show you how to pull weeds fast, get a sod lifter, get knee pads, bury yourself into your work and get going on it. Don't pull these weeds one at a time. Don't be a gardener. Don't pull these weeds one at a time. Don't be a gardener. Don't pull these weeds one at a time. Don't be a gardener. All right, now another thing to mention, I know the guys are out there, just spray it and treat it. I heard all that. I'm a big believer in sprays, where they belong, how to use sprays, very important stuff. This isn't a situation like that. You're going to brown up your edge if you do that. We've cut a nice edge. And you also want to cultivate your good dirt. This soil is really nice, and you want that cultivated for the mulch to go on top of it. So that's the reason why we want this. We want to take this sod lifter, get down fairly deep with the stuff, rough this surface up, and then we put the mulch on top of it, and it's a much more effective mulch job than just throwing mulch down on compacted. See, you could tell me to go up there, and you could say, well, Roger, just spray that there and just throw mulch over the top of it. I could do that. Some people do that, and it would kill that, and it would probably be effective for a while, but you'd end up with layering and thatching and matting that wouldn't make sense. As long as you have dirt like this, I mean, as long as you have this, use it, right? It doesn't take any time at all to cultivate that up. The new mulch goes on top of it. Then as you mix that mulch down in, that's landscaping. The idea of spraying, killing, all that stuff's great out in the driveway, great for lawn weeds, but you don't come in your beds with sprays very often. Maybe as a post-emergent, you put your new mulch down, and for some reason something does slip through the cracks. That happens a little bit. And if it's an area like this, Karen and I have a stone walkway here, and these are hard to pull, these weeds here. I'll take those out with a weed eater, and I will spray these. I'll probably get them as good as I can, but often we do spray around this walkway, and so we do use the sprays occasionally. But don't be John Wayne out by your edges with your spray. Learn to get good soil. It's easy to work with. learn to get the right tools and learn to have the right attitude. Okay, I'm back again just to show you what we've accomplished probably in, Karen says a little longer than an hour, maybe a little longer than an hour, but not much longer. And now look at this. This is ready to mulch. Again, we didn't sit there and sit on our butts and pull one weed at a time or anything like that. We got this place cleared out. The dirt is all loosened up, all cultivated, ready to go. We lay our mulch on top of this, and I'm back in business out here. So that's ready. There we are. We're back in business here. This took a while. All right, got my load of mulch. Happy as can be. Before I get started, I want to show you just a couple things about how I do it. Notice this wheelbarrow for one. If you have a big area and my mulch pile is remotely, it's way out by the road. These are some trips, you know, with this stuff. So this wheelbarrow, it'll hold 10 cubic feet. So with 3 of these, I move a yard of mulch, and it's very, very light stuff. So there's no reason to not have one of these. The thing is, you want to have large areas where you can dump the thing, and if you're in little tight spots, then those little wheelbarrows make a little more sense. But that's why the big wheelbarrow, I can really move the mulch with this, and it hastens the process remarkably. It's a very effective tool. Come up here, Karen, show this mulch. This is the mulch I talked about in the book, about the natural, I guess you just call it natural double shredded ground mulch. See this? Is that showing up in the... See this? This right here is a beautiful top covering for this year. Next year, or when I decide to, I'll mix that in with the existing soil, and over time, this really, really matters on keeping the weed growth down and all of that stuff. It's a very effective mulch. You see, I'm starting to stage it up. I'll get my mulch staged here. Nice cool morning. Happy to be back at it, and I'm going to get this spread, and we'll come back out and take a look at it when I'm done. Okay, here we are, done with it. So we went from quite a mess. We took the sod lifter and got rid of all the weeds and vegetation. We cultivated the existing, and then topped it with a really nice coating here of a nice new mulch, and we've regained our landscape that quickly. A couple things to say about when you're doing a mulch job. There's a tendency to come up around these shrubs with mulch. I call it collaring them, where you build the mulch up. People, I don't know why they do it, but they tend to build the mulch up instead of going under this. You lift these up, put the mulch underneath. You'll see how nice and graceful these shrubs look. Can you see the base of these shrubs, Karen? Where the mulch comes out from under them and flows gently out. There's no collaring there. There's a couple things beyond that too. If you're the type that does tend to collar the shrubs, cosmetically it looks terrible. But also, if this mulch is hot, this stuff isn't particularly hot, but sometimes the mulch you get right out of the mill can be very hot. And if you're working around, say, perennials or things like that, and you're the type that collars the mulch, you can kill those perennials. You can kill annuals with it. You can really damage shrubs with hot mulch. So always work under the shrub, pull the mulch back, and if it's particularly hot mulch, probably when you're done with it, you want to water it a couple times to cool it down. Light waterings, you know, maybe 3 or 4 times after you do it. Probably the better thing to do is wait for your mulch to cool down a couple days. Sometimes that's hard to do. You want to get going with the stuff, but the cooler mulch, this stuff was great to work with. This wasn't hot at all, and I didn't have to worry about that. But anyway, collaring shrubs, that's one of the things that you need to learn not to do when you're running mulch. Another thing, see the base of the house here? It doesn't look like much the way I got it done. It just went along there nicely, but very often people will just throw mulch up there and get that wavy look. It'll look like waves of stuff mounded and piled. You want to be careful along the base of a structure like that. Anything linear, you want to make sure you take that extra time to grade that off in a linear fashion, so it doesn't look like anything out of the whack here. But if I'd left that wavy and mulchy and got my handprints all over the house and things like that, those little things make a big difference from the cosmetic perspective of doing this. Here you'll see even around the stones, even look around the stone how I took extra time to make sure it wasn't wavy and moundy around that. And here's a cool little pot. See this pot right here? Show them the pot with the petunias in it. That pot, just to give you an idea, if you want to try something, that's the base of a bird bath. There was a customer, I had a few bird baths, and for some reason she lost the bowl or they got broke or something. These three things laid in her backyard, and she wanted me to take them away, and I was going to toss them. And then for some reason I had the idea to go ahead and turn them upside down and bury them. And I've got some of the coolest little planting pots. I got a couple out front too. But notice around that too, the mulch doesn't wave, or it doesn't. The mulch is very even around anytime you need to stay linear with that mulch. Make sure you do it. Don't throw it, and don't ruin your beautiful job with a few little errors. So we're back in business out here. This part of the landscape is renovated, and we're off to other places.